All right, here we go. Let's stop this. Let's get this going. We got 7 minutes. 7 minutes. What's up, guys? I'm Jake Burke. We are doing the 150 test questions real estate exam today. I'm studying for the exam. I plan on getting it before the end of 2025. We are now just about to hit August. So here we are. What's up, guys? We have a bunch of test question videos and vocab videos on the channel too that aren't live, but this is our first attempt at doing a live stream. So we'll see how it goes. I don't know if we're gonna have some technical difficulties or what. I'm gonna record some of this. Basically how it works is we're gonna start the simulated exam. It's 150 test questions. It's just like how it is in real life. And this is a practice exam, and we have 195 minutes to complete it. So how many minutes is that? I think it's like 3 hours, right? 3.25. Okay, they gave us a little extra time, and I think that we'll complete it in like an hour and a half or 2 hours. We'll see how it goes. I haven't started it yet. I'm getting it all set up right now. We're planning on starting at 2 p.m. I wanted to get on here and just hang out for a second before we start. We stopped the music. I don't know if that's like some copyrighted music or something like that. If you want to listen to your own music, let's go for it, because we're gonna have no music on. Just me talking and figuring out these questions. If you guys want to help and like say an answer to the question, that's fine too. I need all the help I can get. You guys want to get involved, that's cool. Make sure that you like this stream. We are 5 minutes away. We got the polo on. We got the nice haircut. We're gonna put it back, the music on, for 5 more minutes, and then we'll start at 2 p.m. Let me get everything set up. And let's do it. All right, here we go. We're just about at 2 p.m. start time. So, welcome to the stream. We are live right now. If you want to say something in chat, what's up? Subscribe to the channel. We have a bunch of other real estate exam content, but we're going to just jump right in. We have 150 questions that I'm taking live right now, 2 p.m. I'm just going to click start. We have 195 minutes to complete. Oh, okay, so it has time left. I'll show you this screen in a second, guys. Let me get it all set up for you. Yeah, all right, cool. Let's see how it works. Perfect. Nice little transition. We can go a little bit bigger, maybe. No, maybe right here. So you guys can read it. Everything can see it. Maybe I'll go a little bit bigger. Go over here to the left a little bit. So you can see the time left. You can see the question. Question 1. 1 out of 150. We're going to be here for a little while. We have 3 hours and 15 minutes to take this right now. So question number 1. Any employee who is authorized by a broker to make withdrawals from the trust account must be A, licensed, B, unlicensed, C, fidelity bonded, D, a notary. You guys can help out too. Like, I don't know a lot of these answers. I'm studying just like you guys. This is for the real estate exam. This is what it's going to look like when you go in and take it. Obviously, you're not going to be, I actually don't know if you're going to be on a computer, but it's going to be multiple choice, 150 questions, 3 hours. This is for national and California. It does say California, but a lot of these are national. I'd say like maybe 20 are California specific. So, welcome to the stream. We're jumping right into it. Feel free to chat. I'll try and answer you guys' chat questions. See what's going on. And let's go. Any employee who's authorized by a broker to make withdrawals from the trust accounts, licensed, unlicensed, fidelity bonded, notary. I want to say fidelity bonded. So here's the way it works too, is we're not going to know the answers until the very end. So we're actually just going in blind right now. So we'll see how fast it goes. We'll see how it works. This is the first live stream that we've done. So if you like it, like it. If you don't, then we'll do something different next time. Fidelity bonded. Okay. Number 2, what does the broker need to do when a salesperson is fired for cause? Nothing. Send the commissioner a certified written statement of facts. Alert the governor. Warn the salesperson's new broker. I'm going to go with nothing. They probably don't need to do anything. Number 3, a gift of real property by will is a demise, bequest, a legacy. I want to say bequest or legacy. Your legacy is a gift of real property. Your bequest, you bequeath something on someone. Let's go with bequest. We're just gonna fly through these. In real estate transactions, an agent has fiduciary duties to the other salespeople participating in the transaction, the clients, all parties, the customer. I want to say the client. I don't know if you're, let's say you're representing the buyer. I don't know if you have fiduciary duty to the seller. When all of the terms of the agreement have been satisfied, the agency ends by acts of the parties, expiration of its term, operation of law, full performance. I'm going to go with full performance. When everything has been performed. Disintermediation refers to the movement of money out of savings accounts into higher yield saving, such as corporate, the transferring of real property by private owner to public agency, an instrument used in many states in place of a mortgage, representing both parties to a transaction. The transferring. I want to say real property by private owner to public agency. Like I said, we're not going to know the answers till the end. Maybe I'm going a little too fast. If I'm going too fast, then you can always pause it and then watch the VOD and go back and write all this stuff down. We'll look at the answers at the end a little bit. But right now, we're just taking it. We're locked in. When the seller asks the broker to keep a latent defect to themselves, the broker refuses. What code contains the ethical guidelines for the broker? I'm going to go with, Business and Professions Code, Civil Code, Criminal Code, NAR Code of Ethics. When the seller asks the broker to keep a latent defect to themselves, the broker refuses. What code of, NAR Code of Ethics. Let's go for it. A real estate agent owes a professional responsibility to the public to treat all parties to a transaction honestly and fairly, disclose the client's confidential information, file income taxes in a timely manner, record deeds from transactions in which he is involved. I mean, not that one. Just not disclose the client's confidential information. I mean, file income taxes in a timely manner. That's fine, but that I don't know if he owes a professional responsibility to the public. Record deeds from transactions in which he involves. I don't think that would be like the title company. So I'm just gonna go with treat all parties to a transaction honestly and fairly. Okay, we're kind of going. Question 9: An agent shows a for sale by owner property to a customer. The agent prepares the offer, and the seller accepts the offer under the condition that the seller holds the good faith deposit. The agent must A, present the offer and give the check to the seller with both parties' consent. Give the money back to the buyer. Deposit the check in non-interest bearing depository. Give the check to the seller client. All right, so we have a for sale by owner. The agent prepares the offer. The seller accepts the offer under the condition that the seller holds the good faith deposit. Okay, the agent must present the offer and give the check to the seller. Give the money back to the buyer. Deposit the check in the non-interest bearing depository. Give the check to the seller client. I think you present the offer and give the check to the seller with both parties' consent, because is there no escrow officer in a for sale by owner that you would hold for the earnest money deposit? So you present him the offer. Basically, it's a counter offer under the condition that the seller holds the good faith deposit. I mean, we'll see. I mean, that one sounds pretty good to me, though. What do you guys think? Question 10. A sales agent has a duty to treat all parties to a transaction honestly and fairly in all transactions, only when acting as a dual agent, only when presenting a buyer, only when... So we're going to go on all transactions. I think we already got this one earlier, but this is just a reword. I mean, it could be dual agent, technically. For general ethical purposes, probably in all transactions. A lease that specifies that the lessee is to pay the real estate property taxes and the insurance costs as well as the rent is called, I think that's the net lease. You just pay for everything. But we'll read them. Specific lease, sandwich lease, net lease, percentage lease. I don't know what a sandwich lease is, but I don't think it's that. Mortgages are recorded to assure amortization payments, create a valid lien, transfer title to the mortgagee, comply with truth in lending regulations. Mortgages are recorded to amortization payments. I think it's this one, or transfer title to the mortgagee. Let's go with transfer title to the mortgagee. Fixtures and showcases attached in a store that occupies rented spaces are I think chatels and shade fixtures are the same thing, so that means personal property would be all of the above. Hold on, we might have a Dodgers are acquiring Alex Call from the Washington Nationals. Sorry, it's the trade deadline right now. We're doing real estate. We're doing real estate. Fixtures in a store, personal property that attached in a store. These are real property. I think it's actually trade fixtures. Because personal property is different than these, actually. In a suit brought under the federal fair housing law as amended, punitive damage may be as much as $10,000, $50,000. There's no limit on punitive damage, $1,000. I want to say there's no limit because these seem low. These seem low. An investor buys an apartment building for $240,000 after estimating that it will have a net income of $40,000 annually. Which value principle is at work here? Principle of investment, principle of substitution, principle of anticipation, the principle of change. I mean, the initial thought just is an investor buys principle of investment. After estimating that it will have a net income of $40,000. Substitution, anticipation. Maybe anticipation. He's anticipating that he's going to get $40,000 annually. Or change. I'm just going to go with principle of investment. Try not to overthink it too much. All right, we're moving on. Question 16. We have 150 questions. We have 3 hours and 4 minutes left. I think we're going pretty fast. I don't know what the average time per question is, but all of the following people need a license to practice real estate except any trustee selling under a deed of trust, a person paid to negotiate exchanges, a person paid to solicit buyers, a person paid to negotiate loans. I don't think loan officers need their real estate license. Need a license to practice real estate. But also, any trustee selling under a deed of trust, would that be like a first sale by owner kid selling under the deed of trust? I know you need your real estate license to practice, to negotiate exchanges and to solicit buyers. So we have A or D. Like a real estate agent is not negotiating loans. No, I don't know. Let's go with it. Let's just lock it in. Look, we're not going to know the answers till the very end. If you guys know the answer, you can comment it, and or if you have a thought about it, let me know. We're live right now. We're doing it, so I'll try and respond to you guys. Question 17. What does the Alquist-Priolo Act disclose? Location of earthquake fault lines on a map, water availability, improvements without permits, flood zones. Alquist-Priolo. I don't know this act. We got to know these acts. This is one maybe write down just because it's like a free question if you actually know the act. I want to say flood zones or water availability. Flood zones. Flood zones changed. Water availability changes. All right. All right. RESPA. Question 18. RESPA prohibits a lender from receiving secret profits or kickbacks from service providers. A buyer from giving a bonus to an agent for an outstanding job. A buyer from using their own attorney. A buyer from receiving an estimate of closing costs. I would say a lender receiving secret profits or kickbacks from service providers. That's probably not good. I feel confident about that one. During the sale of a property, location of earthquakes. Oh, we missed it. What up, Jesus? Thank you for that. So that's what's the act called? The Priola, location of earthquakes. During the sale of a property, who would an agent and client negotiate with? During the sale of a property, who would an agent and client negotiate with? Agents, customers, broker, clients. The sale of a property, an agent and client negotiate with the other agents. But if you're for sale by owner, you wouldn't have an agent. Customers, maybe. Broker, Alto, Purequa, Piorala, I thought it was. Broker, client. I'm gonna go with clients actually. So client doesn't necessarily need an agent, right? Or customer doesn't necessarily need an agent. You don't. So agents and broker don't necessarily need to be a part of the sale of a property. I'm gonna go with customers. Extinguishing a debt by equal payments of regular intervals over a specified period of time is called appraisal, investments, equity, amortization. Extinguishing a debt by equal payments of regular intervals over a period of time. Is that your amortization? It's not equal payments though, is it? Because you pay more up in the front. Appraisal, no. Investment to extinguish your debt, no. Equity, no. I'm gonna go with amortization. Sorry, if we're going too fast, you can just pause it, or you can watch it at the end. There'll be a VOD. It'll be on the channel. Subscribe to the channel, and then you guys can check it all out. Well, the answers aren't going to be toward the end. We'll go through the answers a little bit. I do have to leave at about 4 p.m., but we have an hour and 45 minutes. We're cruising through. All right. A listing agreement is a contract between the buyer and the broker, the seller and the buyer, the broker and the agent, the seller and the brokerage firm. A listing agreement is a contract. So I want to say the seller and the brokerage firm. So you have a contract listing your house for sale between the seller and the brokerage firm. And the brokerage firm has an agent that's representing you. That one's probably should be easy, but I mean, I don't know. A large mirror that the buyer wants to remain with the property should be identified as a fixture in the sales contract, be agreed upon verbally with its price stated in the contract, be disregarded as having no consequence, never be included in the sales contract. If they want to keep it, I think it should be identified as a fixture in the sales contract. Verbal, I don't know about that. So it's not personal property. It becomes real property as a trade fixture. That was a tricky one. Kinda. But everyone should know what a listing contract is, right? I think this is it. This is not personal property anymore. Now it's a trade fixture. So it's going to remain with the property, but we want to put it in the sales contract. Just so there's no other confusion about it, I guess. A person designated in a written power of attorney to legally act for another in their stead is typically called attorney in fact, principal, agent, fiduciary. I think it's actually attorney in fact. Principal, agent, fiduciary. Maybe fiduciary, but I think attorney in fact. I think I've seen that one. Which of the following classes of individuals is protected under the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, ECOA, but not under the Federal Fair Housing Act? Marital status, ancestry, family status, sex. Classes of individuals is protected under ECOA, but not under Federal Fair. So I don't know if ancestry would be like, that'd be like your race. That's probably protected under both. Sex would be protected under both. I want to say marital status, because you have to pay, your credit could be combined with your spouse, but that wouldn't matter for federal fair housing if you're married or not married. That sounds right to me. That sounds right to me. How many acres are there in a government rectangular? Family status? Esther, what up? So I was in between marital and family. We'll see at the end, but you probably know. How many acres are in a government rectangular survey that consists of the southwest 1/4, northeast 1/4, northwest 1/4 of section 13 of Blendon Township? This one we might need to use the calculator, right? 80, 10, 20. I want to say, well, we need to know what 1/4 of an acre. Oh, you missed it by 1%? Hell yeah, Esther. Congrats. Oh, you missed it. Oh, no, sorry. I thought you said you passed it and you only missed 1%. Well, we're studying again, and we're going to take it. I mean, I could schedule mine in exam anytime, but I'm just like, I'm not confident yet. So I want to lock in all these practice exams. I mean, I'll probably get like a 50 or 60% on this. Let's just go with 40 acres. I don't know how much 1/4 is of a township. That's something I need to learn too. Features which enhance the desirability of real estate are often called amenities, appurtenance, assessments, appraisal. I'm going to go with amenities. We're on question 26 of 150. We have 2 hours and 54 minutes left. Okay. Yeah, amenities makes it. Yeah, sounds good. 1 acre equals 43,650 square foot. So 1/4 times 3? I don't know. A new and contrary offer made as a reply to an offer received from another is called a counteroffer, a bilateral enforcement contract, or an acceptance, a contract. A new and contrary offer made as a reply, that would be a counteroffer. And once a counteroffer is given out, then that means the original offer is no longer valid. Which of the following are considered untrue statements made without facts to back them up? Innocent misrepresentation, negligent misrepresentation, actual fraud, fraudulent misrepresentation. Untrue statements made without facts to back them up. I mean, that sounds like actual fraud or fraudulent misrepresentation. I don't think it's innocent or negligent, so it would be fraudulent misrepresentation or actual fraud. What do you guys think on this one? I'm going to go with, well, they're trying to get all this misrepresentation. Maybe fraudulent misrepresentation. 29, a seller signs an exclusive right to sell listing agreement with a broker. However, the seller's brother-in-law makes an offer on the property the next day, not realizing it has been placed in a listing. Which of the following statements is true? The seller will not have to pay a commission. The broker is not entitled to commission. The broker is entitled to commission. Since the seller found the buyer, the listing is void. I think once you get in that sell listing agreement, the broker is probably entitled to a commission. I don't think it matters if the seller found the buyer. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. When underwriting a loan application, a mortgage company is usually interested in which of these values? Liquidation value, market value, auction value, market price. I want to say that it's market value or market price. So if you have the market value, then the loan company can see how high of a value you can qualify for. How do you determine market value? And the market price would be just all the houses around there. Well, then that would be market value. I'm going to go with market price, because whatever they priced it at, you're going to have to probably qualify for that loan. I mean, you can negotiate, but I'm going to go with price. Which of the following is not a protected class under the 1968 Federal Fair Housing Act? Religion, sex, gender, race, age. I'm going to go with age. If you're old, you're old. Sorry. If you're young, you're young. Sorry. A rental property has a return rate of 8%. Race? Do you think race is not protected? I don't know. You could be right. You could be right. A rental property has a return of 8%. The monthly net rental is $600. What is the market value of the property? The monthly net rental is $600. What is the market value of the property? So they make $600 a month, and we get a return rate of 8%. So if we work our way backwards, we'll just like take one of these. 84,000 divided by 8%. Is that? No, that's not. We're not doing that right. What's 8% of 84,000? 84,000 times 0.08, 6720 divided by 12. We need to get to 600, 560. So 90,000. I'm gonna go 90,000. Can you guys see this? Yeah, a little bit. 90,000 times 0.08. Right. So here's the math that I'm doing. We know that it has a return rate of 8%. So we know it makes $7,200 every year. That's 8%. And then, so what's 7,200 divided by 12, which is a month, should be 600. 600. All right. I think that's where our math is right there. We just worked backwards. There's probably a easier way to do it, but they already gave us some of the answers, so I think that's right. Question 33. The subject property best describes A, the property currently on the market, B, the property compared to the base, C, the property surrounding the base, D, the property for which the value is sought. The subject property. I don't know this one. These all sound like similar. The subject property, the property currently on the market. Property compared. I'm going to say the property currently on the market is the subject property. S&T Realty had a listing on a property. After the property sold and closed, P&M Realty asserted its rightful claim to the commission. What type of listing did P&M Realty have? Exclusive listing, net listing, exclusive right to sell. It was an open listing. If they both had listings and whoever sold it got the commission. I'm going to go with that one. What type of listing is most desirable from the point of view of the broker? Exclusive right to sell, net listing, exclusive agency listing, open listing. Probably it's going to be exclusive. Or net, actually. Does net you make the most money? It's not going to be open listing because that means other brokers have a chance to list it. Exclusive right to sell, net listing, exclusive agency listing. I want to say net listing because I think you make the most money off a net listing. And that would be the most desirable. Can you have a net open listing though? That's a good question. We're going to go with the money. A meeting of the minds refers to the closing of a contract, the offer and acceptance, the consideration, the consummation of a contract. Consummating a contract. This is question 36. I want to say the offer and acceptance. This is like an old school term. I think that's right. Or the consummation, but that's, I don't know. A salesperson presents a full price offer from a financially qualified black prospect. Later, the salesperson broker presents a lower offer to the same seller from a white prospect. The seller accepts neither of these contracts but sells to a neighbor through the same salesperson and broker who decides to buy the house to prevent the black prospect from purchasing the property next door to them. Which of the following parties would not be subject to liability under the Fair Housing Acts of 1968? Exclusive right to sell always gives the commission to the broker, regardless of if the seller sells. Oh, net listing is illegal in some states due to fiduciary conflict of interest. What about California? So you get paid no matter. So that one would be good. Exclusive right to sell even if you don't sell it. That one would be good too. All right, so we got a racist guy in here. Who is it? The seller accepts neither. Who decides? But sells to a neighbor. To prevent the black prospect. Wouldn't it? This would be the sellers. The sellers. Which of the following would not be subject to liability under? Oh, the white person. Yeah, the white person didn't do anything, and they just got their offer denied. So there was a person listed their house. They got an offer from a white person. They got an offer from a black person, and then the neighbor, who was the third party, bought the house to prevent the black person from buying the house. But that has nothing to do with the white person who initially put the offer in. That's what I would say. So these other people, though, are doing some shady racist shit. That's what I would say. 38. Question 38. The obligation or promise to be personally liable for conditions in another person's contract is known as assignment, assumption, novation, ostensible liability. Taking the exam in late August. Let's go. Yo, no problem, dude. Yeah, I'm coming out with more videos every week, and we're gonna do more live streams and stuff too. Good luck with the test. I don't know when I'm scheduling mine. Even if I do schedule and I pass or fail, I'm still gonna be coming out with more videos. Hopefully I can pass, and then I'll have a little bit more like expertise, and I can help you guys out more. But good luck, man. You got it. Okay. The obligation or promise to be personally liable for conditions in another person's contract is known as assignment, assumption, novation, ostensible liability. Personally liable. Huh. This one's tough too. Assumption, you're assuming. Oh, actually, I think I actually had this one in a video. And I put assignment or I put assumption, and it was one of these. I'm going to go with assumption. Sure. A city decides to create a park to separate a residential neighborhood from a commercial strip of land. The area that the park occupies will be known as a redlined area, buffer zone, adverse possession, easement. This one's tough for me too. Again, I want to say adverse possession, but I don't know. Buffer zone? No. Red line area sounds bad. Easement. It could be easement too. A city decides to create a park to separate a residential neighborhood from a commercial strip of land. The area that the park occupies. Maybe buffer zone, actually. I mean, it's a buffer between the residential neighborhood from a commercial strip of land. I mean, that makes sense. When working with someone other than a client, a licensee may disclose information that is public record, fill out a blank land installment contract, prepare a deed, choose to not disclose a latent defect. When working with someone other than a client, a licensee, I want to say disclose information that is public record. Like anyone can look at that. Fill out a blank land installment contract. Prepare a deed. Choose to not disclose a latent defect. Don't do that, I don't think. All right, let's do that one. If it's public information, sure. In a settlement statement required by RESPA, the earnest money deposit of a buyer is shown as debit to the seller, debit to the buyer, credit to the buyer, none of the above. The earnest money deposited of a buyer is shown as I'm going to say debit or credit to the buyer. Oh, I got this one wrong last time too. I think it's credit to the buyer. It said you would assume that it was debit to the buyer, or it's credit to the seller, which would be none of the above. Statement required by rest with earnest money deposit. Credit to the buyer. Sure. A seller lists their house with Happy Days Realty. A buyer is shown the listing by an agent with Sell More Homes Realty. Who must the buyer's agent represent? Both buyer and seller. The buyer Sell More Homes Realty. The seller. All right. A seller lists their house with Happy Days Realty. A buyer is shown the listing by an agent with Sell More Homes. Who must the buyer's agent represent? The buyer's agent would represent Sell More Homes Realty. A buyer is shown the listing by an agent with Sell More Homes Realty. Who must the buyer's agent represent? The buyer, which would be Sell More Homes Realty. This seems like a dumb question. A seller lists their house with Happy Days Realty. Okay, we got that locked in. Happy Days Realty. That's the seller. A buyer is shown the listing by an agent with Sell More Homes Realty. Who must the buyer's agent represent? The buyer's agent will represent the buyer. Which, yeah, I'm gonna say the buyer. Now I'm not gonna go specific to Sell More Homes Realty because the buyer could be someone else, right? Hold on. Whoops. There's all these trades happening in baseball right now. We want the Angels to trade away somebody, but they're not doing anything. We have 25 minutes. It ends at 3 p.m. But we're on real estate. Don't get distracted. Don't have ADD like me. The buyer. We have 2 hours, 38 minutes. The term dedication refers to an instrument used in many states in places of a mortgage. The right acquired by the owner of one parcel of land to use adjacent land of another. The transfer of real property by a private owner to a public agency. An additional fee charged by a lender to make the yield on lower market interest rates. Loan competitive with higher interest conventional loans. Dedication. The right acquired by the owner. The transfer of real property by a private to a public. I want to say this. Dedication. An additional fee charged by a lender to make the yield on lower market interest rates. Loan competitive with higher. I don't know what the term is, but that sounds like what dedication might be. An instrument which protects the insured party against losses resulting from undiscovered defects and encumbrances such as forgery in the record is a chain of title, certificate of title, abstract of title, title insurance policy. An instrument which protects the insured party against, it's not abstract of title, certificate of title, chain of title, losses resulting from undiscovered defects and encumbrances such as forgery. Actually, that seems like it would be an insurance thing. Undiscovered, that's why you have insurance. I'm gonna go with that actually. The income approach on a single family rental would use which technique? Oh man. IRV, the swag method, gross rent multiplier, income capitalization. Income approach on a single family rental. I'm gonna go with gross rent multiplier. The swag method. I don't know what that is. I don't know what IRV is. I don't know a lot of stuff. I'm still studying with you guys, so give me a break here. We'll see. We're on question 46 of 150. We have 2 hours, 36 minutes left. We're going through. If you need to pause, or if you need to go back and watch the VOD, you have different answers than me. You probably are correct and I'm wrong. While taking calls, an agent receives a call for another agent. The agent taking the call tells the caller the other agent is not in and offers to help the caller. After making an appointment to show a property, the agent the caller intended to talk to with comes to the front desk and lets the floor agent know they're expecting a call. What should the floor agent do? Say nothing and keep the showing appointment. Let the agent know about the mistake and tell them about the call. Act like nothing happened. Show the property. The agent should have said something sooner. I think you got to let the agent know. I don't think you're taking other agents' expected calls. That sounds bad. The California real estate law defines a planned development as which of the following? So this is a California specific one. A subdivision, a condominium projects, community apartment project, a co-op apartment building. Planned development as of which of the following? I want to say a subdivision. That's what I'm going with. Might need to take a little break here for a second. We're about 45 minutes into it. We still have 2 hours and 34 minutes. We're going to keep going. One of the appurtenances to a parcel of land would be easement and gross, a bundle of rights, assignment, bill of sale. Appurtenances. We got to learn these vocab words, huh? Easement and gross, bundle of rights, assignment, bill of sale. I'm going to go with assignment. I know that we put assignment on the other one, but maybe we can get at least one of them right. Reproduction costs likely would be used for which of these subject properties? A home built in 1759 where George Washington often stayed, a weird old house for which there are no comparables, a 3,000 square foot, 3-story home with hand-carved exterior woodwork built in 1910, in an area of similar homes, a weird old house for which there are no comparables, and a home built. I'm going to go with the weird old house with no comparables. We have to reproduce comparables. This says in an area of similar homes. So, no. And then where Washington stayed, I think that would be like a historic thing. But I don't know. How long does a landlord have to return the unused portion of a tenant's security deposit? I think they have 30 days. I just got my security deposit back last October, and they have 30 days, I'm pretty sure. During a 90-day listing agreement, the seller dies. The listing agreement can be enforced against the seller's executor or heirs. The listing agreement is terminated. The agent's death is the only thing that will terminate the listing. The agent can continue to show the property to any interested buyer. I want to say it's terminated. If the seller dies, I don't know if they want it. You can enforce it against their heirs. Maybe their heirs don't want to sell it anymore. The agent can continue to show the property to any interested buyer. That one seems kind of interesting. Yeah, B. You think B too? Yeah. The listing agreement is terminated. The deed of trust is considered to be an instrument that conveys legal title, collateral, evidence of the debt, security for the debt. I want to say an instrument that conveys legal title, collateral, evidence of the debt, security for the debt. There's deed and there's title. What do we think on this one, Esther? Deed of trust is considered, I don't think it's collateral. Could be evidence. Security for the debt. I'm going to go with an instrument. A deed used to transfer. A deed used to transfer title states that the conveyance will remain in effect for so long as the property is not used for sale of alcoholic beverages. The buyer would receive what kind of estate? A fee simple absolute estate, a fee tail estate, a fee simple defeasible estate, reversionary estate. A deed used to transfer title states that the conveyance will remain in effect for so long. I want to say reversionary estate. If they do sell alcoholic beverage, then it reverses back to that estate, the original estate, the title. I'm gonna go for it. The note that calls for periodic payment of both principal and interest, so both are paid by the end of the term, is called a Sorry. The note that calls for periodic payment of both principal and interest payment, so both are paid by the end of the term. It's called straight note, fully amortized installment note, partially amortized installment, adjustable rate note. Principal and interest, so both are paid by the end. I want to say fully amortized. So when you're amortized, you pay your principal and your interest in the usually in the front of the loan is more interest, and then it fades out towards the end, but you're still paying the principal and interest, and then it should be all paid off by the end of the term, because it's not a balloon note. So I'm gonna go with that one. Losing title to land by the wearing away action of the water would be erosion, certiorari, erosion and certiorari, accretion. So these are your riparian rights. I want to say erosion. I don't know what certiorari is. And that's just like a word they threw in there to confuse us. Accretion. I'm going to go with erosion. A broker who is employed by the seller is liable to the buyer if he acts in excess of the terms of his contract, the listing agreement has no termination date, the offer is accepted but the contract is not performed, they act under a power of attorney for a seller. A broker who is employed by the seller is liable to the buyer if, I want to say the offer is accepted but the contract is not performed. He acts in excess of the terms of his contract. I mean, that sounds like liability too. The listing agreement has no termination date. They act under a power of attorney for the seller. Broker is employed by the seller. Liable to the buyer. I'm gonna go with this. The offer is accepted because it's the buyer. You're liable to the buyer. Because these would be liable to the seller. X obtains a deed from Y which states that X is not allowed to put a fence around his front yard. This clause in the deed would be referred to as restriction, eminent domain, fee simple, absolute, covenant. I think that's a restriction on the deed. Not allowed to put a fence around his front yard. This clause in the deed would be referred to. I think that's good. What the heck? Sorry, we're 13 minutes away from the MLB trade deadline, and I'm just hoping the Angels trade someone away. Restriction? Yeah, okay, we got restriction. So for the next 13 minutes, I'm like looking at Twitter right now. I'm getting ADD. I'm getting distracted. Don't get distracted when you're taking your test. Just lock in. I'm not locked in right now. We have 2 hours, 27 minutes left. Question 58 out of 150. A valid exercise of the government's police power to restrict an owner's use and enjoyment of his property would include which of the following? Building codes, adverse possession, deed restrictions, easement by prescription. A valid exercise of the government's police power to restrict an owner's use and enjoyment of his property would include which of the following? For the government? Building codes? I want to say building codes. Deed restrictions? Government's police power? Okay. How could a trespasser become the owner of real property? Affidavit of title, easement of pertinent, easement by prescription, adverse possession. Actually, I think that would be the adverse possession. I think we got that one wrong earlier. Easement of the pertinent, easement by prescription, adverse possession. I think it's adverse possession on this one. Which scenario best describes the process of novation? Hold on. We got trades coming in. Dustin May. Wow. Hold on. Okay. That's fine. Which scenario best describes the process of novation? The buyer assigns the rights to the contract to a new buyer. The buyer and seller agree to substitute a new contract for a previous one. The lender switches the buyer to a different type of loan. The seller wishes to include new terms and or conditions to an existing contract. Novation. The buyer signs the rights to the contract to a new buyer. The buyer and seller agree to substitute a new contract for a previous one. The seller lender switches the buyer to a different type of loan. The seller wishes to include new terms and conditions of an existing contract. Novation. I don't know what novation is. I need to learn what novation is. All right. Oh my God. Oh my God. B, the buyer and seller agree to substitute a new contract for a previous one. Is that novation? We're gonna go for it. Thank you. How do brokers and clients enter into agency relationships? Ostensible agency contract, implied agency contract, ratification, express contract. Brokers and clients? I don't think it's implied agency contract. I'm gonna say express contract, ostensible agency contract. Okay, novation is the process of replacing existing real estate contract. Okay, cool. Ratification, ostensible agency contract. It could be this one too. Ostensible agency contract. I'm selling myself on this one right now too. A bank refuses to lend a married woman money because even though she qualifies on her own, they want her husband to co-sign the loan with her. The bank is guilty of violating the Federal Equal Credit Opportunity Act, the Civil Rights Act, RESPA, the Federal Fair Housing. I actually think it's Credit Opportunity Act. This is the one that would violate, yeah, because the credit, like the loan. This is the marital status one that I think I got right. A, oh yeah. Which of the following is not pertinent to real property? Easements, mineral rights, deed of trust, outbuildings. Appurtenant. Easement, mineral rights. The mineral rights are probably good to real property. Deed of trust, outbuildings, easement. Sorry. Well, this one. What do you think on this one? I'm gonna go with it's not appurtenant. Why do they use this word? What does appurtenant mean? Easement, mineral rights, deed of trust, outbuildings. I'm gonna go deed of trust. Actually, these all sound like physical, real property. The term block busting refers to steering prospective clients to certain neighborhoods because of their race or religion, redistricting, districting boundary lines for voter jurisdictions, denying an applicant of loan because of race, inducing homeowners to sell their property by suggesting that minorities are moving to the neighborhood. I think it's this one. Oh, it's steering, but I think it's inducing homeowners to sell their properties by suggesting that minorities are moving. Block busting. Yeah. Which law mandates how much of a real estate broker can charge for a commission? City ordinance, federal law. There are no such laws, as this would be a violation of the Sherman Antitrust Act, state law. I think there are no such laws. You can charge whatever you want. It's negotiable, right? But no one's going to pay that much if you choose a huge commission. The three most important aspects of a house are location, marketability, uniqueness, and scarcity, style, size, style, and function, cost, value, and marketability. Cost, value, and marketability. I think that's the three most important. Location, marketability. If you have a good location, but you got a shitty house and it's falling apart, then it's not good. Marketability is good. Uniqueness, scarcity is good. Size, style, and function. Yeah, I guess. Style doesn't really matter. I think cost, value, and marketability. What funds? The Real Estate Recovery Fund, state income tax, license fees, trust fees, disciplinary fines. Real Estate Recovery Fund? I don't think like fines, trust fees, license fees, state income tax. Actually, the only thing that makes sense is the state income tax. Because what if people don't pay the license fees, and then you have no recovery fund? If people don't pay the trust fees, and you have no recovery fund. If people aren't fined, then you have no recovery fund. We have 1,000 trades happening right now in the MLB. We're taking the real estate test there. A real estate broker presented an offer to a seller from a financially qualified buyer. Unbeknown to the seller, the buyer is the broker's sibling. This fact was not discovered until a week before closing. What options exist to the seller? Presented an offer to a seller from a financially qualified buyer. Unbeknown. Cancel transaction. Only pay broker for current costs. Cancel transaction. None. A broker can sell to relatives. I think you can sell to your relatives. Sure. Title is best defined as ownership of land, a document transferring a grantor's interest of real property. Insurance that guarantees you that you own the property, a leasehold estate. I think it's a document that transferring a grantor's interest of real property. If title and deed. A seller client is liable for the acts of everyone except the listing agent, the buyer's agent, the listing agent's licensed assistant, the listing broker. A seller client. The buyer's agent? Like, if the buyer's agent is doing some shady shit, you're not responsible for that. An affidavit of title is a pledge of real property as security for repayment of debt, a disclosure of the property's known physical defects, a disclosure of the relationship in which one party acts for or represents another, a sworn statement that the title is good. Yeah, B, I think I put that one. That was the buyer's agent, right? An affidavit of title, a pledge of real property as security for repayment, a disclosure of the property. I think it's a sworn statement that the title is good. An affidavit, it's like a legal term. Sworn statement, a disclosure of the relationship in which one party acts for or represents another. I think it's this. What properties are touched and concerned with agency disclosure law? Only commercial property, all property, 4 family units or less, industrial. Touched. Which properties are touched and concerned with agency disclosure law? Probably all property. Agency disclosure law? Sure. According to the statute of frauds, all of the following contracts have to be in writing in order to be enforceable except A, a listing contract to sell personal property, B, a listing to sell real property, C, a contract selling real property, a lease in real property for more than a year. Sorry if I'm going too fast, guys. Sorry. You can pause it and then catch up, rewind, or rewatch the VOD when it comes out. It should be coming out in an hour or two. According to the statute of frauds, all of the following contracts have to be in writing in order to be enforceable except listing contract to sell personal property, a listing to sell real property, a contract selling real property, a lease in real property for more than a year. Personal property, I don't think you need a contract for. I think that's fine. Real property, real property, real property. Yeah, A. All right. An agent, we're almost halfway, 74. Question 74. An agent advertises a property for sale for $120,000 when any potential, wait, what time is it? Sorry. When any potential buyer arrives for a showing, the agent says that the price has just been raised to $160,000 The agent has been guilty of market fixing, false advertising, violating the civil rights of 1860, price fixing. An agent advertises property for 120. When any potential buyer arrives showing, the agent said the price been. I want to say price fixing. I mean, it's also false advertising, but I think it's price fixing. A new house is completed on January 28th, but landscaping, cement walks, and some painting are not completed. To ensure that all items will be completed by April 15th, the following year, the buyer should insist on taking out mechanics, lien insurance, or written memorandum from the buyers to that effect, withholding money from the settlement to ensure that work will be done, a promissory note from the builder for the cost of the items. Mechanics, lien insurance? No, I don't think so. A written memorandum, maybe that, to that effect, withholding money from the settlement. I don't think so. Or a promissory note. I think it's actually a written memorandum. Go with that. All right, that was halfway through. If you guys are watching right now, there's a link below. You guys can get your real estate study material, just like we're doing right now. If you've already passed the test, or if you want more help, we have a code, Burke40, BURKE 40% off everything on the website. If you just now are wanting to start your real estate career, then you can also get your prerequisite courses. There's a link below. I'll put it in chat a couple times. This is my my little ad of the stream. If not, thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting. Subscribe to the channel. What? Hold on a sec. Oswald Peraza? What just happened? Why are the Angels buying? I don't understand. Okay. We're doing the MLB trade deadline too right now, but so we're getting distracted. We're like an hour in and we're halfway through, so we're still on track to finish between 2 hours and 12 minutes. The life cycle, oh wait, hold on. Life cycle of a neighborhood occurs in these 4 stages in this order: growth, stability, decline, revitalization, revitalization, stability, decline, growth, growth, decline, revitalization, stability, decline, stability, growth, revitalization. Growth, stability, decline, revitalization, stability, decline, growth. I like A on this one. Growth, decline, revitalization. Growth, stability, decline, revitalization. A buyer is late with monthly mortgage payments. The lender could declare the entire unpaid loan amount due immediately under which of the following clauses: accretion clause, hypothecation clause, acceleration clause, acknowledgement clause. Was that last one A? What was the last one? What was the answer? I want to say acceleration clause again. And I'm just going to get one of these acceleration clauses right, I swear. When using the market data approach, which of the following... Oh, I think I did put A. Because I like that one. It was growth, whatever. When using the market data approach, which of these is true? Consideration must be given to changes in the comparables since they sold. Differences in features and amenities are adjusted based on their cost. Adjustments are made to comparables values to reflect differences from the subject property. Adjustments are made to the subject property to reflect the differences from the typical home in the area. Market data. Adjustments are made to the comparables values to reflect. You say C, Esther? I think that actually sounds good. Consideration must be given in changes. Comparables. Difference in features and amenities are adjusted based on their cost. Comparables value to reflect the differences from... Yeah, the market data is like you look around and see what other stuff sold for, basically, and then compared to what you're listing your stuff as. All of the following describe the inherent conflict between the appraiser and the listing real estate agent except A, agents estimate what a home will sell for in the near future. B, what happens in particular sale may not reflect market value. C, appraisers must determine market value by looking at the past. D, appraisers generally follow the wishes of sellers. All of the following describe the inherent conflict between the appraiser and the listing real estate agent. What happens in a particular may not reflect the market value. No, I don't think appraisers follow the wishes of the sellers. Appraisers must determine market value by looking at the value of the past. What happens in a particular sale may not reflect market value. I think that's it. Agents estimate what a home will sell for in the near future. Because a home could sell for way higher or way less than what it's appraised at. Yeah, I remember the neighborhood stages, the growth stability. I think I got that one right. A real estate agent knows of a defect in a listed property but fails to tell the buyer the agent is guilty of misrepresentation, nothing, as they looking out for a seller as he should be, negligence, fraud. I don't know if that's fraud, misrepresentation, or negligence. Maybe it is fraud. Misrepresentation, negligence, fraud. I think it's misrepresentation. An owner lists their home with Muhammad, an agent from MNK Realty, a member of the local MLS system. Muhammad knows of several potential buyers for the home, so decides to hold the listing out of MLS until after the first open house, which is 2 weeks away. At the open house, one of his buyers makes an offer near full price. It accepted and the transaction closes with no problem. Did Muhammad do the right thing? Yes, he got a seller acceptance and transaction was, yes, he did. Yeah, I think it's no. Because he could have, if he put it on the MLS, then he could have got more offers. No, an open house cannot be held until the listing is submitted to MLS. Buyer for the home so decides the listing to hold listing out until the first open house. 2 weeks away. I just think he just did what is his best interest. He just wanted to do quick and easy. And he didn't want to look out for the seller's interest when they could have got more money from listing it on the MLS. Real property may be transferred or alienated by all of the following except private grants, public grants, operation of law, inheritance. Transferred or alienated by private grant, public grant, operation of law, inheritance. You can inherit real property. The law, eminent domain can maybe give you real property. Public grant, private grant. Actually, maybe the law. Private, you can privately give someone a real property. You can publicly give someone real property. The law? It's the law. Go with the law. Which of the following is not an element in an action for fraud? There must have been intentional misstatement of fact. The defrauded party must have been entitled to rely upon the misstatement. The defrauded and defrauding parties must have relied on a confidential relationship. The statement of fact must have been material misstatement of fact. So this is what we need to learn, the difference between fraud, negligence, and misrepresentation. There must have been an intentional misstatement of fact. The defrauded party must have been entitled to rely upon the misstatement. The defrauded and defrauding parties must have relied on a confidential relationship. The statement of fact must have been a material misstatement of fact. I think it's B. The defrauded party must have been entitled to rely upon the misstatement. No. Because you can misstate on accident, and then is that fraud? Maybe. These are the fraud ones that's tough for me right now. There must have been an intentional misstatement of fact. They're defrauded and defrauding. Intentional misstatement? Yeah, if you intentionally misstate it. Yeah, this one doesn't say it's intentional. I think that actually intentional. In the rectangular survey system, what would one call the lines running east and west? Boundaries, meridians, baselines, monuments. East and west? I want to say... No, the prime meridian is north and south. So we're going to go with baselines. Boundaries and monuments? I don't think so. This is a guess, though. The laws that affect the licensing and conduct of real estate agents are called real property law, real estate law, agency law, license law. I want to say agency law, the laws that affect licensing and conduct. Yeah, probably. We're starting to pick it up a little bit. I want to get this done before 4 p.m. We have 50 minutes. Who is the beneficiary and what title, if any, do they hold? The lender who holds the bare legal title, the neutral third party who holds bare legal title, the lender who holds no title, the lender who holds equitable title. I don't think the lender holds title. A contract to sell rural properties requires which of the following? Number of acres, legal description, rural PO box number, rural zoning map location. Contract to sell rural properties. I want to say rural zoning map location. Legal description. Number of acres. Those sound good too. PO box number. I don't know about that. Which of the following would be an exception to federal fair housing law? Ethnic considerations, economic considerations, religious considerations, sexual. I want to say economic considerations. Ethnic, no. That's like race, religion, sex. No. That's not, there's no exceptions for that. If a client's earnest money check upon being deposited in the broker's trust account is returned for insufficient funds, the broker should tell the cooperating broker that the check bounced, cover the bad check personally, resign the agency, call the police, tell the cooperating broker that the check bounced. Which of the following would not be depreciated? A residential property used as a rental, unimproved land leases for open storage, an abandoned building, 2,700 square foot commercial building. I actually got this one wrong last time. Unimproved land leases for open storage. I think that was it actually. It said like land leases can't be depreciated or something. This is depreciated. This will depreciate. This will depreciate. An agency relationship can be terminated by the agent revoking the agency relationship, by hiring another broker, mutual agreement of the parties, the principal renouncing the agency relationship. I'm going to go with mutual agreement by the parties. We're starting to pick it up. Like I said, we're going fast. We're going fast. If in the sale or rental of a house, a sales agent discriminates against an individual because of religion, the agent may be charged with discrimination under which of the following statutes? Civil Rights Act of 1866, the Federal Fair Housing Act, the Sherman Antitrust Act, Equal Credit Opportunity Act. Discrimination? I would say it's civil rights or federal fair housing. The agent may be charged with discrimination. I want to say federal fair housing. Which of the following terms is most commonly used in California in reference to liens against real property? Gross, personal, specific, appurtenant. There's that appurtenant again. Which of the following terms is most commonly used in California in reference to liens against real property? Personal lien, specific lien, appurtenant lien, gross lien, personal lien. Real property, gross lien, specific or appurtenant? Let's go with appurtenant. Who determines the tax rate? City council, county tax assessors, the county board of supervisors, assessment appeals board. I want to say county tax assessors. I have no idea. But these ones sound weird. The County Board of Supervisors, Assessment Appeals Board. I don't think it's City Council either, but maybe it's City Council. So it's either the county or the city. Who is the trustor and what title, if any, do they hold? The borrower who holds bare legal title. B, the lender who holds equitable title. C, the lender who holds bare legal title. D, the borrower who holds equitable title. All right, we got to slow this one down. Who is the trustor and what title, if any, do they hold? The trustor, the borrower who holds bare legal title. The lender who holds equitable title. The lender who holds bare legal title. I don't think it's equitable title. The borrower who holds bare legal title? Sure. See, I mean, I don't know the answers. I don't know the answers. I'm taking the test just like you guys would, just like I would in a couple months. We're studying. We're going to find out the answers or see how I do. We have a bunch of videos on vocab and test questions. This is just the first time we're trying to do a live stream. We're testing it out. Let me know if you guys like it. Like the stream. Subscribe to the channel. We got a bunch of stuff related to the real estate exam because we want to pass it. I want you guys to pass it. Question 96. A contract in which something remains to be done by one or both parties is best described as a unilateral contract, avoidable contract, bilateral contract, executory contract. Which remains to be done by one or both is best described as a, I think it's executory. You have to execute the thing before you could do it, or bilateral. I don't think it's voidable or unilateral. No, I think it's executory. A sales agent is about to take a listing. The sellers indicate that they do not wish to have the property shown to anyone of a certain racial background. The real estate agent complies with the seller's request. The seller has no liability since the agent will be the only person showing the property. The broker is liable for the sales agent misconduct, even though the broker did not know the discriminatory. The sales agent has no liability as they were following the seller's request. The broker has no liability. I want to say the broker is liable for the sales agent's misconduct, even though the broker did not know the discriminatory act. The seller has no liability since the sales agent will be the only person. It's either C, it's either B or D. Either the broker has no liability or they have liability. It's not the sales. The sales agent definitely has liability, and the seller probably has liability too, because you can't just be racist. A person receiving D, I think that was for the last one. A person receiving an adjustable rate mortgage would expect to pay interest only toward the loan and then one balloon payment at the end of the term. Interest to fluctuate on a year-to-year basis according to the terms specified. The lender pay no interest on the loan, pay the same amount. Adjustable rate is fluctuating, so every year it's going to be different. So you refinance. What properties are touched and concerned by agency disclosure law? Which ones are touched? I think we already did this. Commercial property, industrial property, cemetery plots, residential. I think I put all property last time, but I think we're just going to go residential. Which of the following is not an exemption under the Federal Fair Housing Act? A church selling its grounds with the help of a broker. A private club without the aid of a broker allows only members to rent or occupy the rooms. A single-family home being sold by its owner. An owner-occupied dwelling of 4 units or less being sold without the aid of a broker agent is not an exception. Federal Fair Housing. Private club, which without the aid of a broker allows only members to rent or occupy the rooms. That is not an exemption. So all these others are exemptions. Church selling its ground. Single family. Yeah, I think I'm right with that one. A contingency is something that must be done or must occur in order to complete the terms of a contract. In purchase, in a purchase and sale of a home, which of the following are contingencies? A satisfactory home inspection, a commitment for financing. All of the answers: a satisfactory termite inspection. Yeah, you want to get an inspection. You can get a term on inspection, and you want to get a pre-approval, a commitment for financing. I'm gonna go with all of the answers. The term caveat emptor literally translates as "Long live the king." Caesar is empire. There's a hole in the exterior. Let the buyer beware. I'm gonna go let the buyer beware. That sounds like more relevant. There's a hole in the exterior. As a result of the decision in Easton versus Strasburger, 1984. Sorry. Oh, okay. Real estate agents can be held liable for not only for defects they know about, but also defects listed in the real estate transfer disclosure agreement, defects they should have known about through a reasonable inspection, defects in an inaccessible area, defects that are hidden. I didn't know that real estate agents can be liable for stuff that you don't know about. Maybe it's this, defects listed in the real estate transfer disclosure because they're listed. D, defects that are hidden. So you're telling me that I can be held, if I sell a house and I don't know that the defects are and they're hidden, then I can still be held liable? That's shady. Real estate that can be held liable for not only defects that they know about, but also defects that are hidden. Oh, I think it's this, actually. Defects they should have known about through reasonable inspection. Yeah, okay. That actually makes more sense. Because if you know what you're doing a little bit, you'll find those defects. The difference between fraud and misrepresentation is there's no difference between fraud and misrepresentation. Fraud is intentional misrepresentation, while misrepresentation may be unintentional. Fraud is unintentional. Oh, that was for the last. Yeah, I'm going too fast. Sorry. I know there's a delay too. A buyer can only recover compensatory damages for fraud. So we've gotten a bunch of this misrepresentation, fraud, and negligence. We don't know the answer because we're just taking the test. We'll get the answer at the end. I want to say fraud is intentional, while misrepresentation may be unintentional. Payment of debt in regular periodic installments of principal and interest is referred to as an assumption of loan, amortization loan, straight-term loan, assignment of loan. Periodic installments of principal and interest would be amortization. Straight-term loan too, maybe. It's like the same. It's like that's just a regular loan. Well, I'm just gonna go with amortization. B. Okay, sorry. We're on question 106. We have an hour and 52 minutes left. Which of the following is a violation of the California Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct? A, puffing. B, telling a seller his/her home is worth more than it is in order to get the listing. C, not telling customer of competing offer per seller instructions, negotiating on behalf of a client. I would say this just right off the bat. Code of not telling customer of a competing offer per seller instructions. I mean, this sounds bad too. Telling a seller his or home is worth more than it is in order to get the listing. And I don't know what puffing is, but not telling a customer of a competing offer. That's what you should always tell people of the offer. If a property has been renting for $750 a month and based on comparables, the GRM is 110, what is the indicated value of the property? What is it? It was a gross rent month. I don't know what GRM is. So they make 110 per month, 750 per month. I want to say it's 68. I think it's low. 68. Well, how did we do it last time? Oh, we can't. 68, 182. Oh, wait, no. They make 750. 750 times 12. But let's work through this one a little bit. 9,000 That's how much they make a year. 110. But only it's just 110 though of that. I don't know. I'm gonna go. I don't know the math, but I'm gonna go with. I think it's 68 or 82. But we just did 90, and the profit was more than 110. But I don't know if that's the profit. The transfer of rights under a contract without the release from obligation is known as recession, succession, novation, assignment. Under a contract without the release from... So we know it's not novation. We learned what novation is. The transfer of right under without the release... I'm going to go with assignment, I think. Like, I don't know why I keep clicking assignment, but I'm going to get one of these assignments right, and we're going to figure it out. Net operating income best describes income before expenses, effective gross income after expenses, potential gross income, effective gross income. I think net is after expenses. Gross would be income before expenses. Agent A is showing the seller's property to a prospective buyer, whom Agent A also represents as the buyer's agent. While touring the home, the seller tells the prospect that the basement is dry and has never flooded. Agent A remembers that during a recent rainstorm, the seller told the agent not to show the property because the basement is flooded. What would be the most appropriate action of this dual agent? The agent should speak up and correct their misinformation because the agent knows the notice. The material fact due to both buyer and seller. Do nothing unless the agent should say nothing. The agent should not dispute the seller's word. Okay, yeah, you have to look out for both. Especially if you're a dual agent, you need to be looking out for both buyer and seller. So you got to speak up. Which of the following is considered an encumbrance but not a lien? Mortgage, easement, mechanics lien, IRS taxes. I would say that mortgage is a lien, mechanics lien, taxes, easement, or IRS taxes. If you don't pay your taxes, then that's like they're gonna lien. I'm gonna say easement. We're just flying through. A lender advertises that there are reasonable monthly terms available for the purchase of a home. Which of the following disclosures is necessary? A, disclosure of interest rate. B, no disclosure is necessary. C, disclosure of interest rate and interest paid over the life of the loan. D, monthly mortgage payments. There are reasonable monthly terms available for the purchase of a home. Which of the following disclosures is necessary? I want to say disclosure of interest rate and interest paid over the life of the loan. Like, you need to disclose everything. And we'll determine if it's reasonable or unreasonable. Which of the following fiduciary duties never terminates? Confidentiality, obedience, loyalty, financing. Fiduciary duties? I would say loyalty. Like, just ethically, you need to be loyal. Like, or confidentiality, probably, actually. You don't want to tell people about people's things, finances. I'm going to say confidentiality. A title search can be conducted by anyone, an attorney at law, a buyer's real estate agent looking after their client's interests, the loan processor. I think it's anyone. I think you can search the title on anyone. You don't have to be licensed. The court action to compel the grantor to execute a deed in accordance with the terms of the contract is known as an action for specific performance, punitive damages, mandamus, specified damages. I want to say specific performance, execute a deed, terms of the contract known. Yeah. When a broker deposits clients' money in the same bank account as the broker's operating funds, this is referred to as commingling, blending, merger, theft. Commingling the funds. I could be wrong, but I think I'm right. I'm going fast, like I said. We're picking it up. We're at 117 out of 150. An hour 46 left. I got 30 minutes before I have to go. So we're going to try to get this done for you guys and for me. Let me know if you guys like these live streams. We could do these maybe once a month or something. We also have a bunch of videos that are coming out once a week. So subscribe. We're going to learn all the stuff that we need to learn about real estate, so we can pass the exam. An increase in the value of property due either to positive improvement of the area, elimination of negative factors is called appraisal, assignment, appreciation, appurtenance. I would say appreciation. Your house is appreciating. You're making more money. Ingress and egress are terms used in easements, construction measurements, land measurements, appraisals. Not appraisal. Probably not construction measurements. I'm going to go with easements. A real estate firm has an in-house title company, mortgage broker, and home inspection company under one business, and this is only allowable if there's no duty to disclose these business to the consumer, so long as fees are exchanged among the affiliated company for the referral, so as long as the consumer uses the in-house lender. Control business arrangements are clearly disclosed to the consumer, and the consumer is aware. Yeah, I think that's it. You got to let them know this is all in-house, but you have other options. The city of Largeville wishes to obtain title to privately owned property to expand a highway. If the owner is unwilling to sell, the government can proceed by exercising eminent domain. I know that one. Escheat, adverse possession, eminent domain, condemnation. The government comes to your property. Eminent domain. 121, 29 questions left. All of the following documents must be approved by the real estate commissioner prior to use, except purchase agreements, advance fee contract, independent contractor agreement, mortgage loan disclosure. All the following must be approved by the real estate commissioner prior to use, except. I want to say independent contractor agreement, purchase agreements, advance fee contract, maybe that one. Mortgage loan disclosure. Probably B or C. We're going to go with C. I think actually taking tests my whole life, if you have no clue, always go with C. That's probably bad advice. Try and figure it out. The type of lender having the greatest percentage of assets invested in residential mortgages are life insurance companies, mutual savings banks, savings and loan associations, commercial banks. The type of lender having the greatest percentage of assets involved in residential invested in I know this one. I got it wrong last time. It's not life insurance companies. It's not commercial banks. I think it's savings and loan associations or mutual savings banks. We're going to go back to our C. A term used to describe the physical attachment of a fixture to real property, thereby causing it to become part of the real property, is actual annexation, easement by prescription, the doctrine of emblements, adverse possession. Physical attachment of a fixture to real property, thereby causing it to become part of the real property. So you got your trade fixture, that's now real property. I don't think it's annexation, adverse possession. We already picked that one. Could pick that one again. I don't like easement of prescription. Easement by prescription is calling my name for some reason. The doctrine of emblements. This one I'm completely lost on this one, but I've done 2 C's in a row. You don't ever want to do 3 C's in a row. Easement by prescription. Probably completely wrong. Acknowledgement refers to addition of soil to property by the gradual operation of natural causes. A sworn statement that the title is good. Assumption of liability for another party's obligation. A written declaration by a person executing an instrument given before a notary in the public. I think that sounds great. A written declaration by a person executing an instrument, acknowledging it. And notary. I like that. The disclosure of the relationship in which one party, i.e. agent, acts for or represents another, i.e. principal, under the authority of the latter is known as abatement, customer representation, actual notice, agency disclosure. That sounds familiar with me. Hold on 1 second, guys. I got to take this phone call. I'll be right back. All right, sorry, we're back. The disclosure of the relationship in which one party agent acts for represents another under the authority of the latter is known as agency disclosure. Under a listing agreement, the seller is establishing what kind of relationship: ostensible agency, ordinary agency, implied agency, special agency. And this is an ordinary agency, right? Implied is like if you just like talk about it and you don't have a contract. Special agency, ostensible. I don't know. I actually, like, I just got a phone call. I have to go soon. I have to end this by 4. So we're blasting through the questions. We have, how many? 23 questions left. Staff appraisers might be used by a homeowner who wants an estimate of value, a large mortgage company reviewing hundreds of appraisals a year, a large corporation with many properties to manage, a large corporation with many properties to manage, and a large mortgage company reviewing. Hold on a sec. All right. Staff appraisers. Might be a homeowner who wants an estimated value, a large mortgage company reviewing hundreds of appraisals a year, a large corporation with many properties to manage, a large corporation with many properties to manage, and a large mortgage. If you have a staff appraisers, you probably need a lot of stuff. Do mortgage companies care about appraisers? Or just property managers? I think we'll go with everything. The type of lease where the tenant pays an agreed upon sum as the rent and the landlord pays any other expenses is called A, net lease, B, graduated lease, C, percentage lease, D, gross lease. The type of lease where the tenant pays an agreed upon sum as the landlord pays other expenses. Or gross lease, B, they pay for everything, and net lease, B, pay for some. And they pay for the rest, I think. That's just what makes sense based off what I know about net and gross. The subject property is next to a sewage treatment plant. What could this situation be causing? Economic obsolescence, a curable defect, a foul odor, functional obsolescence. I mean, it would be causing a foul odor. A curable defect, I don't know about if it's curable. Economic obsolescence, functional. I'm going to go with functional. I don't even know what that means, but it sounds right. An investment property with 10 residential unit rents for 2,000 units per month. The rate of a vacancy and collection loss is 5%. Annual expenses are $10,200. The depreciation is 3%. And the interest paid on the trust deed is 12% if the investor wants a 12% return. This is the math one, guys. I'm not going to do the math right now. I don't even know the math. But it's going to take too long, and I unfortunately have to leave in 23 minutes. Sorry, I know. I should have planned out the live stream better. That's on me. We'll do more. We'll get these math ones. 10 residential units, $2,000 per unit per month. So we have 10,000. So you have 10,000 times. All right, sorry, 10 times 2,000. 10 times 2,000 equals $20,000, and then you times that by 12. Okay, $240,000 a year. The rate of vacancy is collection loss is 5%. So we go times 0.05. 12,000. So now we're at what? 228,000 a year. Annual expenses are 10,000. So we're at 228,000. 228. 10,000 minus 10,200. Let's try real quick. Depreciation and interest paid on the interest is 12%. If the investor wants 12%. I don't know. 1.8. This much. If an investigation determines a violation of the Rumford Act, an owner can be made to do all of the following except: the owner must complete the rental or sale. The complainant is entitled to the next available unit. The owner must convey title to the victim. The owner must pay up to $1,000 in damage. If an investigation determines a violation, made to do all the following: the owner must complete the rental or sale. I think it's this. Or what they cannot do. That the owner must convey title to the victim. Except that. Okay, they could do that. They can do the next available unit, and they can do 1,000. Alfred and Allie buy a 10-year-old home and have it tested for radon prior to closing. The test results in an average reading of 4.8 PCI under federal law. Seller required to mitigate the home. No unless agreed upon in the current. Yes, federal law as well states. Yes, for mitigation over. I mean, we don't know the radon, the federal law for radon level, but I'm going to assume that it's 4.0. I'm going to say yes. A person authorized to act on behalf of another is called a principal, agent, customer, client. I'm going to say agent. Tom and Sally are not married but own a rental property together. Because they also have right of survivorship, they most likely own the property in, I know tenancy in common, tenancy by the attorneys, joint tenancy, tenancy in survivorship, or joint tenancy. I think tenancy in common. What would automatically terminate an offer? Consideration, acceptance, delivery, counteroffer. Counteroffer automatically determines your first offer or rejects it, terminates it. Which best defines highest and best use of land? The use of the land results in the highest net income attributable to the land. The land is in compliance with zoning and deed restrictions. The use of the land allows for minimum depreciation. The land produces the highest total gross annual income. The terms the highest and best use of land. The use of land and the highest net income attributable to land. I don't know this one. The land is in compliance with zoning. The land produces the highest total gross annual income? Sure. All property acquired by a husband and wife during a valid marriage, except for separate comment is except tenancy by joint tenancy. We'll go with joint tenancy on this one. Or tenancy by partnership. Tenancy in common, community property. That's when they live there. But if they acquire property during a marriage, joint tenancy. Can a buyer tender a personal note rather than cash or check as a good faith earnest money deposit? Yes, if the seller is fully informed in prison writing. No, because the broker ran out. Yes, if the seller approves it, then yes. A salesperson, while soliciting a listing, tells the seller that they have a bona fide offer when in fact there is not one. The seller lists and an offer comes in from another brokerage which the seller accepts. Has there been a violation? The reference to the fictitious offer was a violation. The home was sold. No violation occurred. Although not recommended, it is not a violation. This is preferred method of taking. I don't know if this is a violation, but it sounds bad. They have a bona fide offer when in fact there is not one. So you're just lying to try to make it. I'm going to go with no. A broker is considered which of the following to the principal? A, general agent. B, special agent. C, independent contractor. D, universal agent. A broker is considered what? Special agent or general agent? Independent contractor? What is the purpose of the assessment rule? To appoint the tax assessor, to establish the tax rate, to appoint the appeals board, to establish the tax base, the assessment rule. I think to establish the tax rate. The Civil Rights Act of 1866 established which of the following as a protected class? Sex, religion, age, race. Are those all not protected except for age? Civil rights, I'm going to go with race. For a broker to act for more than one party in a real estate transaction without the knowledge and consent of all parties is ethical. Grounds for disciplinary actions okay if no party sexual actual monetary, contrary to Board of Realtor bylaws. For a broker to act for more than one party in a real estate transaction without the knowledge and consent of all parties that's bad. Grounds for disciplinary actions. That which is immovable by law is also known as land, trade, fixture, chattel, real property. Real property? Real property or land? The assessed valuation of property, which would best indicate its value for listing purposes, value for real property tax, value for mortgage purposes, cost. If you get an assessment on your house, appraisal, value for property taxes, I think that's what it is. An agent promises a seller that the listing will be advertised every week. The listing only makes it into 2 ads that month. The agent is guilty of which of the following? Actual fraud, negligent misrepresentation, negligent fraud, constructive fraud. I'm going to start with negligent misrepresentation. An investor buys, there's a bunch of misrepresentation, fraud, and negligence. We need to learn those ones. An investor buys 2 weeks of a timeshare in Miami. What have they purchased? An interval ownership in real property, a general partnership, a limited partnership, shares or stock? I mean, this sounds good, but I don't think that's it. I think it's a limited partnership, but I'm going to go with this just because I'm curious. An interval ownership in real property. We have 3 more. Which of the following is a lien and an encumbrance on the property? License, easement, deed restriction, mortgage. Which of the following is a lien and encumbrance on property? License, easement, deed restriction, mortgage. Lien and an encumbrance? I'm gonna say mortgage, actually. An agent is one who is owed a fiduciary duty, one who acts or has the power to act for another, one who represents the agent of another, one who is represented by another. Owed a fiduciary duty, one who acts or has the power to act. I'm gonna go with that. When the appraiser goes out to look at a home Sandy has just purchased, makes a $3,000 upward adjustment on their sales comparison approach worksheet, but because it has a fireplace and the comparable homes do not, the $3,000 adjustment is based on what appraisal principle? Conformity, competition, anticipation, contribution. A fireplace contributed to a $3,000 more appraisal. All right, we're gonna see. We need to get 100 out of 150 to pass. I don't think we got it. I didn't know a lot of this stuff, but it was good to do this on live. We'll save it. We'll see how it goes. 63%. Hey, that's pretty close to 70%. We got 95 correct out of 150. We missed 55. We're going to go through all these. I can't do it on the stream, unfortunately, right now. But I can go do this in another video or something or another live stream because it saves. Unfortunately, I have to get off right now. But hey, 63% is not bad for our first attempt at the practice exam. If you guys liked the live stream format, I know I had to go fast at the end. I'm sorry about that. I'll time it better next time. But thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel. We have so many videos on vocabulary test questions. We're trying to pass this real estate exam. We didn't pass it today, but this was our first one, so I think that was pretty good for our first attempt. We got a little help from the audience. Thanks for the help, Esther and Jesus. Hope you guys pass soon. Like I said, I have to go. Subscribe to the channel. We'll post one more time the link down below if you guys want to get your own study guides and your own study test questions. There's a link down below. There's a coupon code, Burke40, 40% off everything. BURKE 40% off everything. And you can get your prerequisite courses and your test prep and all the stuff you need. There's a bunch of states available too, not just California. But we'll post it a couple times in the chat. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for hanging out. We'll see you on the next video and the live stream. Esther, thanks for hanging out. See you later. Bye-bye. I gotta go. Oh.